I'm David Bellamy. As an artist, I have a great love for the wilder regions, such as the mountains, the deserts, the Arctic and wild coasts. Going to these places inevitably means that I run into some odd situations, which at times are ludicrous and strange, bizarre, and even a little bit dangerous at times. But on my painting courses, the students often ask for these tales just before bedtime normally, and I've got a bagfuls of them from the southernmost tip of South America way up to the almost to the North Pole, and from the Canadian Rockies right across to the Himalayas. And so I'll just show you a few of them now. This is a painting of the lost city of GEDI in East Africa. It's one I did in the 1970s, before I actually became a professional artist. So it's a little bit crude in places, but GEDI is a 15th century Swahili town which was abandoned in the 17th century and overrun by jungle. So I really wanted to get out there. I took a bus from Malindi. The bus was full of goats, chickens, wardrobes, beds, God knows what else, and a few people, of course. And I got off and wandered into the jungle. I was on my own. There's nobody else around at all. And there's lovely sound of the cicadas in the jungle there, and some other more creepy sounds. And butterflies the size of saucers were flitting around there. It was absolutely magical. So I began sketching. I sketched this in pencil, and this is a pillar tomb, which is very common in East Africa. And all these buildings are made of coral rag with some coral lime and red earth in them. Wonderful old buildings. And I was sketching away there. And because I was sitting on a pile of stones, I decided I'd stamp my feet a bit and sing very loudly, just in case there were any snakes. The last thing I wanted was a snake crawling all over me. And all of a sudden, out of the trees came this great fusillade of sticks and stones and Lord knows what else. And most of it did manage to miss me. But I wondered who my assailants were. So I got up and headed towards where this fusillade was coming from. And suddenly I realized there was a troop of Sykes monkeys up in the trees there. And they were hurling these things at me. Whether they took objection to my singing, which is quite appalling, of course, or my sketching, which was equally appalling, I got no idea. So I decided to return their missiles. And for some reason, they didn't seem to like it. But there we are. That was an early experience out in the jungle, which I really did enjoy that period out there. Absolutely great fun. This is one of the most iconic mountains in the world, the Matterhorn. I love sketching it, but you have to bring a bit of cloud or shadow into the area to lose part of it. Otherwise it looks stark like a shark's fin. And this is a view of it from the Riffelsee. So after doing this, Jenny and I went round the other side of the Hornley Ridge into the snow where we set up camp. And that night I had to get out in the middle of the night for the call of nature, and the snow was swirling around, the moonlight was coming down, and I had a wonderful time just sketching away, but it got intensely cold, and my underpants started glittering in the moonlight with the snow crystals on it. So I was out there painting with the fury of a rutting lion, as one does in those circumstances. The next day, we went down onto the ZMUTT glacier and then up the other side to the Schornbiel-Hut. Now, the Schornbiel-Hut has one of the most incredible toilets in the Alps. It's perched right on the edge of a 300-foot cliff which drops down to the glacier. Now, you have to when you're going to the loo there, leave the door open and sing rather loudly so that somebody knows, anybody coming will know that you're in there. At the same time, you've got to be a little bit careful. The drop of the loo hole is not the standard 6 foot or so that you find in the Alps. It goes down 300 feet and you don't want to fall down that. The other thing is that there's a tremendous updraft there, so you have to plan your movements very carefully. So while you're sketching there with the door open and being careful about these other points, you have to also hang on to your lederhosen in case somebody comes around the corner. Make sure your modesty is kept intact. This is the top part of the sketch I did on the Shorelines hut loo. Being in the wilds is not always a bundle of non-stop fun. Sometimes there are dodgy bits. And in this case, I was wanting to explore this area, which is high above the Mer de Glace. And this is the Danvers des Aiguilles hut near Chamonix. So Catherine, my daughter, and I were going up there. We were going to see this view and other views around there, and possibly meet Charlotte the Marmot, who was an inhabitant of the refuge there. So we went up the glacier, came off the glacier, and at the bottom I stopped to take my crampons off, and the ground moved. The boulders started to move as well. We were still on the glacier, but it was covered with a lot of muck. Anyway, then we had to climb up about 500 feet up this vertical cliff using fixed metal ladders. And at this point, it was fairly easy to get up them, but Catherine was above me, and she terrified the living daylights out of me because she hung on with one arm with a camera in the other. She said, "Smile, Dad." And, well, I couldn't have been smiling when she took the photograph because I was terrified. We then climbed up to the top of that pitch, onto some rocks, a little bit further along, and I was getting really tired by this time with a heavy pack on, lots and lots of brushes and cakes and Danish pastries in the rucksack, of course. And I could see the hut way up there. It was a long way up, and I said, "Oh, that's a long way to go." And then I looked at the path, and the path went down that way, and I thought, "Oh no, I'm going to lose hundreds of feet before I even start to climb up this." And so the path went the other side of this great ridge down here, way down there, still high above the glacier, and we had to climb up here, up this bit below the actual cliff itself, and up here, all the way up beyond the hut, up onto this crag here, and then back down the other side. And when we got there, we found that poor old Charlotte the Marmot had passed away, so we didn't see her. But what a wonderful view! The Druze and the Agua on the other side, and we spent some time that evening and the next day sketching away there, and we had a great time. But I was absolutely terrified that night because I couldn't sleep, thinking of having to go down those ladders the next day with Catherine sort of hanging on with one arm and doing things like that. And I couldn't really say much to her because she's so much like her dad. One of my Arctic trips was with Will Williams, one of my friends, to the West Greenland area. We'd done a lot of sketching of polar bears, walrus, caribou, and Arctic foxes, and we were really wanting to sketch muskox. those great shaggy creatures with bulging eyes and rather large horns who dislike humans intensely, whether it's because they have lots of musk ox burgers at Kangerlussuaq Airport or not, I don't know. But anyway, we set off on mountain bikes on the first day, and we'd gone about an hour or so, and suddenly I could see a lot of these creatures in the distance with a rather interesting mountain behind them. So I started to sketch, and then I thought, well, I need a bit more detail. And so I got my binoculars out and focused them on this creature. And as it came into focus, I realized it was a huge red boulder, and so were the rest of them. So that was that for the day. The second day, we again got on our bikes and went up beside the river, and lo and behold, not far away, across the other side of the river, we saw a few musk ox. The trouble was they were in really long grass and vegetation, and you could only see bits of them at a time. So you had to sketch the horn in one place, and then get a bit of the tail bit there, and a bit of the shaggy coat there, and just hope that it would all come together in the right place at the end of the sketch, which of course it didn't. So you had to start again, of course. So it was a bit of a washout, really. Anyway, we went off into the Greenland ice cap, and we had some adventures out there, camping on the ice and finding some amazing scenes out there with moulins and all sorts of ice formations. And then we came back onto terra firma, camped, and one morning Will said to me, "They're all around us, David." There were muskox everywhere. And at this point, then we decided we'd follow the herd along and see if we could get some sketches. Now, the big problem is that there's usually a bull at the rear of the herd watching out for predators. And the bull this time actually had a little calf with him, so it was even more dangerous. So I had to keep a distance and have an escape route. Unfortunately, although there was a lake nearby, it was only 200 yards away, and I thought I could probably run there and jump into the lake. The jump was about 50 feet over a cliff, which wasn't very enticing. Now, the only weapon I had to defend myself with was a pencil sharpener, so there was no option really. I had to jump or else. So anyway, I managed to get a lot of sketching done, and the sketches were fine. The photographs were absolutely abysmal, but I got what I wanted without getting wet. Now, this picture shows the muskox on the edge of the ice cap, and it's in the Arctic Light book. So we got quite a lot out of that trip. It was great fun. So as you can see, singing, even badly, is vital for the itinerant artist, and of course also the pencil sharpener. So if you go into those nasty mountains, do take care.